Alrighty then. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, I am Andrei Ryanovsky. I am the current overseer of Vault 120. I'd like to formally welcome you all for coming to this event and evening. I hope that the party so far has been enjoyable and memorable. So far, I don't believe we did a party, but the party's inside the vault once we open up. Anyway, let's begin with the real speech now. The reason why we're all here. I'd like to start off by saying this. War. War never changes. War, we have seen the disaster that has come from the Sino-American War. The two powers fighting for resources, land, for space, ideologies. And what has that brought us to? It has brought us to this wasteland at which we live today. Both sides have caused this collapse which we see today. The Americans and their growing desire for expansionism and resources. The Chinese dictatorship with their same desire for resources but to spread their communist beliefs. Drafting was more common than ever in America. Young men's lives being forced to serve their country because the Americans needed more fuel for the already growing war machine. While many America protested and dodged their draft cards, the Chinese people didn't really have a choice. Not only were they forced to fight at a very young age, but they had this communist belief shoved down their throats and brainwashed them with the Little Red Book. These little oblomofs were not only distributed but were required to be read and memorized by all. However, we cannot judge these people. A saying I remember is that not all Germans supported the Nazis. The same can be said with the Chinese. We cannot hold these viewpoints, these stereotypes. Some of the Chinese oppose this People's Republic. But without any freedom of speech, their views were held too dangerous and were quickly silenced by the secret police. While the Chinese definitely had their fair share of atrocities, we cannot forget the Americans who rose world tensions even higher with their expansions and suppressions of Asian minorities who were suspected of being spies and traitors to their own country. No questions. No questions.
How do you know this if you didn't know about your whole life?
Who knows what happened to those people who spoke out against their government or were Asian? Perhaps they were sent to concentration camp. Silence. Who knows? The Americans were beginning to be more fascist than democratic, and the American people could see it through their own eyes. The thing you see behind me, well, more like in that booth over there, there's a little pothole and everything, you go through it, and there's a vault door. Was built by Vault Tech. There are many like it. Some look different, some act different. This vault was built underwater in a vast system of to build a city under the water. Insanity. But they did it anyways. And look at how it still stands even to this day. Those great men who worked tiredly to build the vault are sadly past now, and they wouldn't be made aware of the true purpose of the vault. Forced by Vault-Tec before I was overseer, people were disappearing left and right. Loved ones gone at random, never to be seen again. No one knows here what happened to those people. What was the experiment? Also, what the fuck? Did they just die? Okay. Where was I? No one knows about the experiment that took place here. The ghastly sounds we would hear at night would keep most dwellers awake, including me. More questions of what truly happening behind closed doors kept growing and growing till it reached a boiling point. I remember the riot that took place just a few years ago. How we, the dwellers, pushed to remove tyranny of the overseer, once and for all. We would never find out what happened to those we knew and loved. The overseer shot himself before we even had the chance to question him. The terminal data was wiped, and any information about what the experiments were, or where it took place, became even more hidden and hidden by the day. I promise you this about our new Vault 120. Most of society misunderstands the nature of true cooperation. True cooperation is the enlightened self-interest, not grubbing parasitism. True cooperation is not based off the blood-sucking that the parasites call taxation. True cooperation is working together, each for their own profit. A man's self-interest is at the root of all he accomplishes, but there is something more powerful than each of us, a combination of our efforts, a great chain of industry that unites us. It is only when we struggle in our own interest that the great chain begins to pull society in the right direction. The chain is too powerful and too mysterious for any government to guide. Any man who tells you different either has a hand in your pocket or a pistol against your neck. Some will imagine the hand of their so-called God behind every mystery. The best of human nature, the laws of natural selection. Such is the power behind the great chain, not God. We need no gods or kings in Vault 120. Only man. Here, men and women will be rewarded with the sweat of their brows. Here, without interference, we will prove society can reorder itself with the unfettered competition, unfettered free entry, and with unfettered research. We have scientists working on new discoveries that will astound you. The persecution of the small-minded was all that kept those discoveries from happening till now. Science will pursue science without the oversight of pompous tyrants who impose their personal views of morality on us. Those same tyrants who created the atomic bombs to cause more destruction. Science was made for good, but then was harnessed for evil. We will not end up like the corrupt fascist Americans or the Chinese government which caused this wasteland to happen. We will not be driven by warmongering ideals, and we will keep to our own. We will not discriminate those who come from different backgrounds and those who are considered mutants. As evil's factions up above are finally done with their wars and their Hiroshima bombs, finally, they will look here to see the true shining symbol of peace and prosperity. Vault 120.